Live from London, Car-Boyz! Yes. Hello. There he is.
Hey!
Here's from behind his balanced white curtain. Hello, one and all.
Hello.
Budget day. Happy budget day, Simon.
You've done well. You've delivered the budget today. Is that why you're in the tie?
Rishi Sunak asked if I could turn up and give him some advice. And I did. And on a piece of paper, I wrote, "You're fucked." We have a new sponsor for the show before we get started.
Ooh.
It's the
Yes.
Sunak Water. It's
Yes.
Sunak Water, and it's not part of a balanced budget. Thank you very much. Here all week, twice on Wednesdays. Yes, we're back with another show guaranteed that not to entertain, but to, well, not necessarily inform or educate. Nope, we're not a state broadcaster that charges the elderly £150 a year to watch grown men dress as drag queens and put onto primetime television. That isn't us. Nope, we are a little niche online channel who wants to bring a smile to your face and hopefully a little bit of an insight into the wild world of motoring. Saying that, the BBC want to pick this up, you know where to get in touch. Coming up on the show this week, we're going to have all the news that's not fit to print in the news. We're going to be delving into your correspondence in the part of the show we like to call the mail bag. We have a great competition for you this week. It's called What's My Plate? I shall be your failed northern comedian with a drink problem and a red velvet lounge suit, and I shall be asking our lucky contestant if he can match the famous face with the number plate. For example, London Mayor and Asian Mr. Bean lookalike Sadine Khan's number plate reads CNUT1, which I think is rather fitting. I'm only joking. He doesn't own a car. He has us pay for his private limousine out of council taxes. And talking of people who pay their taxes on time, here's my co-host, Simon.
Yes, I'm not Sadiq Khan, although I do have a number plate that's got
you do have a private reg, don't you?
But yes, the people paying for his car, they just can't get enough, paying 50p in the pound to the government to create more cycle lanes and outreach centres for one-legged transgender Eskimos.
There's a lot of them around. More than
they are. Yes, ticks a box somewhere. We have a great show for you on the way today. Somewhere exciting, international and exotic, and also Scotland. We have the Lost Highway section of the show, and a great motor for you in the classic car selection. This week, it is the Citroen AX GT.
Ooh, I used to have an AX. It was my first car.
Ooh,
I like
nice.
that.
And we'll be asking the age-old question of how many psychologists does it take to change a tyre? Richard, of course, is not going to change a tyre now. Okay, get in the guitar. But the answer to that is just one. The first tyre really needs to want to be able to be changing. That's why it wants to need to change.
Yeah.
So stay tuned for all of that and more. And Richard on the guitar, and he's gonna maybe he's gonna do some Black Sabbath. I'm Simon Citroen, and Sabbath, bloody Sabbath. Nothing more to do. Living just for dying just for you.
Yeah. That's about all I can do. Black Sabbath. It's always a sad chord.
It does sound like death, though. That song.
It's quite a good song. I think made in Birmingham about 50 years ago. A bit like me. Simon Citroen there with a cheery little tune from Black Sabbath. And staying with the Midlands, I'm Richard Green, and solar winds are blowing, neutron star controlling. All is lost, doomed and tossed. And that's what costs forever. Judas Priest there with their song Deceiver. We've gone very metal and very Birmingham today. It must be the time of the year. This, of course, is
Car-Boyz.
Sabbath, bloody Sabbath. I think it's off their first album. The picture on the cover of the first album is a watermill, I think in Knowle, near Birmingham. There's a woman on the front, and my uncle had this album. My uncle was a bit of a Hell's Angel, and I found it when I was like 12 years old and went, this is the scariest album cover I've ever seen. They don't know who that woman was. It was just somebody they hired for that. It's this scary looking witch by this defunct watermill. sepia-looking faded photograph.
Never to be seen again.
Fantastic album. Children, if you're listening, go and buy it now. It's time now on the show for enough of Black Sabbath and music. For Richard's Rant, it's when I take a sideways view of the world from my own weird, and I would argue warped perspective. Unlike other sections of the podcast, this will not be an open debate or even a masturbate. This is a
Yay.
totalitarian part of the show where I rule supreme as El Presidente and El Jefe. This week, I've been thinking about how things are changing in the world as we drivers are not being told. For example, I was telling you last week to check if your number plate can be driven into some of the major cities in the UK after this summer. Yes, even with all the havoc of the coronavirus, the busybodies in the local councils want to charge local people to drive their cars around their own city centres. And by that, I mean charge poor people who can't afford to drive a Tesla. They drive older cars. You got an electric car, a brand new Tesla, won't affect you. But heaven forfend if you drive a 20-year-old Toyota Corolla in Bath, Birmingham, or most of London, as you could be stung under the new ULEZ charges coming in, I think, after June, and London it's September. Now, have you noticed that no one has told the average person about this? For example, I came across a story in the news this week that absolutely no one seems to know about. How petrol is going to be changed this September across the whole country. Filling stations are switching from E5, which is what we currently have as a standard unleaded, to E10, which I think is Plaistow, isn't it, in London? Is it
Yeah.
E10?
E17's Walthamstow. So
E10,
yeah.
I think is
Yeah.
is Plaistow. So this is going to be this was announced on Saturday just gone. So the Department of Transport are changing it from E5 to E10, which is, it just might be a number to you, but what it is, it means slightly greener petrol to cut vehicle emissions. This will likely, though, increase fuel bills for owners of newer cars, and many astronomically hike running costs for those driving older cars that can't use it. Models produced up to as recently as the year 2000 may not be compatible, I should say, with this new full E10 due to its higher bioethanol mix that can cause significant damage to components in older vehicles. Basically, that means that they are adding biofuel from effectively plants into the petrol. Now, in order to avoid the risk of impairing their cars, ministers have drivers of older cars pre sort of 2000, 2001, of which there are 700,000 on the road. You're going to need to switch to super unleaded, which will continue to use 5% E5 mix and not move on to the E10. I hope you're keeping up because I'm getting confused already. However, super unleaded, as we all know, costs 14p a litre more than standard petrol. And if you own a really old classic car, like, say, I don't know, a Triumph TR4, then you're going to have to put in the super unleaded and the petrol additive, because unless you do that, your head gasket's going to blow off. Now, following a consultation with drivers and industry, the introduction of E10 fuel, there we are again, which is a mixture of petrol and bioethanol made from materials including low-grade grains, sugars, and waste wood, will be sold by retailers in 7 months' time as part of the government's efforts to reach net zero emission by 2050, which is, of course, going to happen by then. MP said its introduction on the roads could cut transport CO2 emissions by 750,000 tonnes per year, the equivalent of taking 350,000 cars off the road, or all the passenger vehicles in North Yorkshire. Now, far be it from me to be cheeky, but to be honest, wouldn't it be easier just to close down North Yorkshire? But I digress. Drivers of pre-2002 motors have long been urged not to use the new petrol until they know it's safe to do so, and they may need to take additional measures even, to prevent, where are we, E10 causing significant damage to your cars. So this is what you're going to see when you get to the petrol pump. I think you're going to see super, diesel. I don't know what super is. Super
Super diesel.
95 and super diesel. Whoa, it's really good. Drivers of pre-2002 motors have long been urged not to use the new petrol unless they know it's safe to do so. That may need to take additional measures to prevent E10 causing more damage to your car. The government is advising motorists to use the Department of Transport's new E10 vehicle compatible checker. which I did this week. And guess what? It doesn't work. It doesn't work if you drive a Japanese car. I drive a Honda. My mum drives a Honda. My wife drives a Honda. My dad drives a Honda. Doesn't tell you anything about Hondas. But what you
Really?
can do is just, it's a Honda. So you know it's going to work because you can run a Honda on weasel piss. Now, announcing the stocking of E10 petrol stations, petrol at fuel stations up and down the country from September, Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said we're going further and faster than ever to cut emissions from our roads, cleaning up the air as we accelerate towards a zero-emission transport future. All this from a man who couldn't care less because he drives a £60,000 Tesla. So sod you if you've got a really old Rover. The problem is that this new E5 contains more bioethanol than the older E10. This can lead to condensation in your fuel tank because it contains water, fuel lines, and carburetors. It causes corrosion in brass, copper, lead, tin, and zinc components. As ethanol is also a solvent, it can eat through your rubber, plastic, and fiberglass. So hoses and seals are likely to perish more quickly because of the higher concentration of ethanol in E10, which my guess is that will also apply to modern cars as well, who have got plastic and fiberglass and rubber hoses. So great news then if you've got an older car, if you're going to have to buy these super unleaded, more value for money, which is fine if you drive a classic 1960s Porsche every other Sunday, but not so fine if you're a nurse and you drive a 25-year-old Micra to work every day. Again, another tax on the poor and another move by the government to get us to buy more cars. Is that the smoking gun here? I'm not really sure. But what really gets my goat is nobody's telling the average person on the street. No one knows about this. The government isn't telling anyone. There should be online video, online TV ads, radio ads, telling the average Joe what's going on. I want cleaner air for my kids to breathe. I want public transport that's better, but you need to inform and consult people about changes like this. Is it just me, or do we feel like we're living in a totalitarian state? It's just that no one thought to inform us that we've got our necks under the boot of the government. And by the way, as I said before, you can run a Honda, any Honda, on the new weasel piss, as they call it in Australia. Simon, any thoughts?
So the numbers mean, so at the moment it's currently E5, so it's 5% ethanol.
Yeah, 5%.
So it's going up to 10% now.
I'm not sure whether 95 RON will still be the same.
I don't know.
Don't think it will.
I did hear it's going to cause lots of people's problems with the internals of their engine.
My brother drove a Golf GTI, the anniversary. Was it 90? It's 79. So what was it? 2009 anniversary edition. He bought.
Okay, yeah.
And it used to misfire all the time. And he took it into the garage, and the bloke went, "What are you running it on?" This is in Melbourne, in Australia. "What are you running it on, mate?" He went, "Oh, just the standard." "Oh, mate, you can't run it on weasel piss. You've got to run it on the good stuff." "Nah, it's for rice burners, the weasel piss. You can't run it on that car, mate. It's a sports car." So, because I think their unleaded in Australia has even less guts in it. Is it 85 RON? Look, at the end of the day, what worries me is you're going to put more and more ethanol in. So you're going to older and older cars. This is going to eat through your rubber, your plastic hoses. That they've got all those on a new car or a newish car, let alone something like a 1997 I don't know, Citroen AX.
So the so the 95 and 97, to give you the science behind it, is to do with how the fuel is compressed to combust. So that's what the numbers mean. So you're going to get things like what's the term? Pre-combustion. No. Pre-combustion, because of the fuel is slightly different in how the current fuels are. I am. So it's going to cause problems.
A breath away from buying a Toyota Hilux and running it on Tesco Value vegetable oil. Just taking myself out of the loop, moving to a compound in the countryside somewhere with machine gun towers. I will dress like Mad Max, and I will drive a Hilux, not pay any tax on anything, take the plates off, have some bulletproof screens down the side and the back, and just drive around on kitchen oil. Waste kitchen oil in my diesel car.
Or Mazola.
Yeah, Mazola, it's fine. Nice smell out the back, like fish and chips.
Chip shop.
Should we have some news?
Let's have some news.
Leave that alone and have some news. Here's some news that's coming up.
And And first off, in Richard looks like a newscaster news. No, it's not. Sorry, no. First off, in China's EV kicks. Ooh.
Sorry about that.
First off, in China's EV kicks Tesla's ass news. The Hongguang Mini EV
That's easy for you to say.
has recently become China's best-selling EV, with the super compact electric vehicle costing from just £3,200 new. Ooh, look at that! It's a beauty.
Right.
Do you think the inspiration for that is the smart car? Or a Wendy house?
Wendy house. It's one of those little yellow and red cars, isn't it? That my kids are always jumping in.
The car, which is produced as part of a joint venture between the state-owned SAIC Motor, known locally as Wuling, and American firm GM Motors, is less than 3 meters long and seats 4 people, and has a claimed range of 106 miles and can charge from a 240-volt mains socket. The most basic version costs around £3,200. Oh, look at that! Look how thin those seats are. The buyers have
Smell a
the
Fiat
option.
Panda about this. Mark
They have an option of a version with air conditioning, which is priced at over £3,500. That's £300 for air conditioning. The most expensive trim level is around £4,200.
£300 for £300?
Yes.
Is it a bloke with a bag of ice and a fan?
And a hairdryer. The most basic form is less than half the price of the UK's cheapest car, the £7,995 petrol Dacia or Dacia Sandero, and 6 times less expensive than the Smart EQ for 2 compact electric vehicle. It's being marketed by China's biggest auto brand as the people's commuting tool, providing affordable transport for motorists travelling into big cities. The Mini EV was only launched last summer, but has been a huge hit ever since, with over 50,000 vehicles ordered. Its battery and electric motor produces 13 kilowatts of maximum power and 85 newton meters of torque, enough for a top speed of 62 miles an hour. The range, according to the measurements in China, which means it's probably not accurate, and not even the European test cycle, is 106 miles on a single charge, and the battery can be replenished by households' 240 volts outlets, though the maker doesn't reveal how long this will take, probably about 2 days. It's unclear how well the vehicle would withstand Euro NCAP's rigorous crash tests, though the manufacturer says that more than 57% of the body chassis consists of high-strength steel. The BBC reports links between Wuling Motors and Latvian company that could sell the version of the car. However, the price is likely to be twice as high due to European environmental requirements. But if it's an EV, I'm guessing there's not really much environmental requirements.
I don't.
That's really odd.
Yeah, look, I love the idea. I actually think it's quite cute. And if you were going into say you were going into a city and you wanted to hire a car at the airport and just burn around the city and then drive back to the city, drop your car off the airport, you'd be quite happy with this. Even if you maybe lived, if I had, as a second car, I live in a city, I'd have one of these. The problem is, like J-Lo. It's a big butt. I've got to get more cultural references that's slightly more youthful than J-Lo and Beyonce, haven't I? I can't even say Lil Kim. Has she got a big butt? She's not.
Don't know.
Anyway.
Little Kim or no.
Big Kim?
I was thinking Kim Kardashian.
Kim Kardashian, she's only 40. We're lowering it. We're getting down there with the kids.
Getting there slowly.
Well, yeah, so it is a big butt. Now, far be it from me to say anything bad about China. I need to pay the mortgage. But there's many new cars sold in China that will never, ever see the light of day in this country, whatever they say, because they are just not up to spec. They make copies of things like Renaults and Peugeots and BMWs. They make copies of Mercedes. Yeah. And, friends of mine who've been to China said the quality of these things isn't up to scratch. They'll never pass NCAP standards. So I think by the time this gets here, you're probably looking at a $6,000 car. I'm not joking. By the time you want it up to the standards that you need to have in Europe, the other problem being, a friend of mine emailed me last week from San Antonio in Texas to say he's had no electricity for 4 days because all the environmentally friendly wind turbines are frozen.
Yes.
Yeah, he sits on a lake of oil in Texas, not literally, but on top of the
Under,
ground
yeah.
with oil underneath, and he can't heat his house. So the problem is, if we all get more electric cars, we're going to need to have the power lines going from this gauge, that sort of
Mm.
gauge, to more like this, because otherwise it'd be like trying to run your house on Christmas lights. You know that wire for Christmas lights? Imagine trying to jumpstart a battery with that. The thing would just glow red and snap. So from here, you're going to have to
Yeah.
go to here, and the infrastructure isn't quite there yet. But I still find this car very interesting. So we will keep
Hmm.
an eye on that and keep you informed. Meanwhile, in Tiger Woods is saved by the Koreans, car news.
Ooh.
Little known SUV loaned to Tiger Woods for a sponsored tournament in California apparently saved him from almost certain death after his horror crash last week. There he goes. That'll buff out, Simon. Have you got any tea cut?
Mm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, just need a good panel beater.
No, it's fine, mate. You bring that in. Well, yeah. Put a lot of plastic padding on the front, and it'll be all right. I've got the front of an old Ford Escort will fit on there. The Golf was behind the wheel of a Genesis. Let me find. I think I've got. Yes, I've got a picture of the Genesis V80. Which that's what it looks like, which is quite pretty. Which is the 4x4 Genesis, which is the posh Hyundai. He flipped it, leaving him with a shattered right shin bone and a calf bone. Woods 45 is awake and responsive, recovering in hospital room, and many are praising the superior efforts of the car. The LA County Sheriff Alex Villanua said the Golfer was lucky to be alive and credited the car's airbags and the fact that Woods was wearing a seatbelt and probably under the influence. No, the 300 horsepower SUV had been loaned to him during the sponsored PGA Genesis Invitational. So he was loaned this car. You'd be happy, and look what he's done to it. The GV80 has a top speed of 150 miles an hour, which is nice, and is the only SUV sold by Genesis, which is a relatively little-known car maker. Effectively, it's a posh Hyundai. It's the Lexus to Honda. It comes with 10 airbags, forward collision warning system, an interior camera to warn drivers if they fall asleep, and evasive steering technology. And evasive steering technology, that sounds like every time you try and grab the steering wheel, it's evasive.
Didn't Boeing put that in one of their planes?
Did you? Sorry, Boeing, yes.
Did Boeing?
I want to go up. You said you want to go down. No, I want to go up. Crash into the ground. No, pull up. Crashing now. Crashing. The GV80 is expected to be Genesis' best-selling car in the US by the end of the year. Maybe he was paid by Genesis to crash it then. The car's won praise for its design and safety features and competes with vehicles like the Grand Cherokee, the BMW X5, Mercedes GLE. Photos after the smash show the Genesis Invitational logo on the side of the smashed up vehicle, which was lying on its side after rolling over. Quite ironic that they lent him a Genesis Invitational vehicle. Hyundai Genesis has sponsored the event, and this has probably got them more publicity. I'm just saying. Police say Tiger Woods did not appear to be under the influence at the time of the crash, but blood tests will be carried out as part of an investigation during the next few weeks. Now, I think this crash was in the daytime, so let's say he wasn't 3 sheets to the wind. But it's California. There's quite a lot of light out there. There's quite a lot of open roads, and that's the path he's taken. So he's crossed the central reservation, which you'd have thought would have woken you up a bit. Whoops! Oh mother, I'm on the wrong side of the road. He's gone on to the British side, which maybe he is British, which is correct. Hang on, his mum's Thai. His mum's from Thailand, and they drive on the left-hand side. Maybe I think that. And he's rolled down there, and nearly lost his legs. But I mean, he's a golfer, so you can do that really, that job, without having to be too physically fit. What do you reckon? Opioids?
Do you think it will sell more than the And Then There Were Free album by Genesis?
Oh yes, it will. Yes, definitely. GV80.
If you miss something, does it go? Did I miss again? Did I miss again?
I hate Genesis. Even old Genesis. I went to America.
Peter Gabriel.
Awful. I went to America as a kid. He was like dressed up as a boil or something, or a banana.
That's his normal look.
I went to America when I was 18, and I was quite into heavy metal and AC/DC and classic Deep Purple and Hawkwind. And I remember getting there, and They said, "Hey man, you like heavy rock, you'll like Genesis." And I was thinking, "Invisible Touch." And he went, "No, this 70s Genesis." I went, "Never heard of it. Don't care. Pile of crap." Jethro Tull.
Moving on, and in Porsche makes clean petrol out of baby seals tears news. The German sports car manufacturer Porsche, or Porsche, has been developing its own synthetic fuel, or e-fuel, that claims to be it would cut CO2 emissions produced by internal combustion engines by as much as 85%. The fuel, which would not require any modification, unlike the fuels we have now, to a car, it will be compatible with both current and older vehicles, and it could make existing motors as clean as electric cars when you take into account the carbon footprint produced during production and supply. Porsche has been working in partnership with Siemens Energy, the people that make washing machines and things like that, since last year to develop and implement a pilot project in Chile designed to yield the world's first integrated commercial and industrial scale plant for making synthetic climate neutral fuels.
Sorry, for Americans, that's Chile.
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 Last week, the company's head of motorsport, Dr. Frank Walliser, says that the brand is set to begin trials of its own synthetic fuel next year that Porsche believes can make its high-performance petrol engines just as economical as the electric vehicle. The aim is to build a plant specifically for commercial production of synthetic fuels in Chile or Chile, which will use the location's blustery environment to produce e-fuels with the aid of wind power. That reminds me, come out later on, turn of the week. If operational in 2022, Porsche says it could be producing 55 million litres of greener synthetic fuel by 2024, and as much as 10 times that amount in 2 years later than that. Dr. Walliser said, as an artificial synthetic fuel, you have no byproducts, so it's way cleaner, everything positive for the engine. At full scale, we expect to reduce the in CO2 impact of around 85%. News came within a matter of days of both Jaguar Land Rover and Ford outlining their plans to shift to fully electric ranges in the next 9 years. Oh, did I see a Porsche 356 there?
Yes.
Beautiful car.
Look at that. So, I mean, far be it from me to say, but a German doctor building a factory in South America. I have seen this film before, haven't I? I am building to take over the world. Doesn't this make more sense than electric cars?
Yes.
So
Yes.
if the Germans can do it, and they did make diesel fuel out of coal, I believe, during World War II.
Oh.
Yes, this is Rhineland. We make it into a very good diesel. Then if we have these plants and you take petrol and you make it 85%, did it say 85% cleaner?
Yes.
Than normal petrol, well, I don't see we have a problem anymore. That's
No.
the answer. That's completely the answer. That's it. So we'd have no more. Okay, we're going to run out of petrol at some point, and it's a good idea to work around other ways of making other fuels. And in 100 years' time, probably will have discovered, or actually, sorry, I should say, the governments will have released the secret to nuclear fusion.
Fusion?
They're probably sitting on at the moment.
Fission.
Far be it for me to say, but they are. So this makes perfect sense, and you can drive any car on it. So by 2024, all things go. That's what we'll be driving our cars on, and we'll all be happy. Well, I'll be happy anyway. I've got to get this out of my system before we start, because I will be tempted to go. So I've got that out of my system. And finally, Native Americans have their reservations about Jeep news. The Cherokee Nation said last week that it has asked for its tribal name to be removed from the nameplate from the Jeep sport utility vehicles and called for a dialogue with the automaker on cultural appropriateness.
How?
Well, let me tell you, Simon. The Native American group's principal chief, Chuck Hoskin Jr., sound very Native American, told Jeep's parent firm Stellantis he does not condone the use of the name Cherokee on the vehicles, according to the statement. Hoskin made the commitments last month in response to an inquiry from Car and Driver magazine, and subsequently held a Zoom call with representatives from the automaker who had contacted the group. I was going to say smoke signals, but I won't. I think we're in a day and age where it's time for both corporations and a team sports to retire the use of the Native American names, images, and mascots from their products, team jerseys, and sports in general. Hoskin, very Native American name, said in his initial statement. I'm sure this comes from a place that's well-intentioned, but it does not honour us by having our name plastered to the side of the car. The news comes as a growing momentum to remove Native American names and images from sports teams in the United States, which many see as demeaning to Indigenous people and First Nation people. Jeep has been using Cherokee names since the 1970s, but stopped using it for several years before reviving it in 2013. In terms of Native American sports mascots, you've had the Washington Redskins. They're now renamed themselves Washington Football Team. Go football team. The Cleveland Indians retired their Chief Wahoo logo at the end of the 2018 season, and the Atlanta Braves but they have so far resisted the Atlanta Braves calls to change their name or prevent fans from doing the tomahawk chop tradition. So here are the Cherokee. We know so they're basically not liking this. They're quite upset about this. To be honest, it's a fucking Jeep. So I get what they're saying. It's a piece of crap. Here's a piece of crap Jeep that needs servicing every 6 months. And these do if you offer us Honda or Toyota, we might go for it. To be honest, I get what they're saying, but I also get the fact that I'm English and I quite like Ford. And if they released an Escort Brummie, I would quite like it, or a Cosworth Scouser would be fantastic. Although that would come with alloy wheels. Oh, that's right. It would be a Cosworth Scouser, so it wouldn't come with alloy wheels as standard or any wheels at all. Just bricks.
Just some bricks.
Just some bricks. What do you think about this? I think the cooler the name, I think I've never, I don't think I've had a dialogue with anybody that's Native American. I might have done, but I've never talked about Native American things. They use all sorts of weird names. The Porsche Macan. Macan is Malaysian for let's go eat. The Porsche, let's go eat. If you're in Malaysia, you must see this all the time going, this is the weird. And the VW Sharon that came out a few years ago, which everybody went, yes. And the English went, Sharon, it's a size 16 girl from Essex that eats chips.
I think they should call it the Jeep Fred Dinage in that case.
Definitely the
Jeep Dinage.
What about, now hang on, because we've got to think of a group. What about the Jeep Chav? And it could come, the Jeep Chav, and it could come with a Burberry interior.
Yes, and the Jeep Council estate.
And it wouldn't have a horn that went, ha ha. It would have a horn that said, what the fuck are you looking at? What the fuck are you looking at? Oh, yeah, Jeep Chav. Although I would say, there's a Jeep. They have a Jeep out called the Rubicon, and I don't believe anybody that owns a Jeep Rubicon knows either the phrase "crossing the Rubicon" or what Rubicon is.
Means.
If they could say it's a river in Italy that Julius Caesar crossed, then I would be amazed. I'm just saying that. I think we're aiming too high. I think it's quite sad. The worrying thing is that names only get retained if you're making use of names, and when you take those names out of usage, I think these guys will get sort of forgotten about, which I don't think you want your traditions forgotten about. I could be wrong. Moving swiftly on before we get to deplatform, I believe it's our classic car selection.
It is classic car selection.
We'll cue up the jazz band. They're ready and raring to go. No, they're not ready, raring and ready to go.
Oh well.
Oh, here they. There you go. More cowbell.
Yes, native jazz musicians. It is this week's classic car selection exemplifies what this feature is all about. A used car that's cheap as chips to buy, but as an alternative to the mundane that's about today. Something has a bit of character that's a little bit different. This week, that can be said of the Citroen AX GT. There we go. Yes. If you want a side profile, this is what it looks like from the side.
Beast of a car.
Some have claimed that it was one of the best all-round cars of all time, and this isn't without good cause. It's light, it's economical, and cheap to run. It's sharp, and because of its lightweight, it feels more powerful than it is. Under the skin, it was mechanically similar to the Peugeot 205 XS, therefore it can claim true hot hatch kudos without the inflated prices of the Peugeot. Remember, at this period of time, you would have wanted something small and French. It would either have to be a 205 or a Renault 5. This car would set the blueprint for the later Saxo VTS, which everyone seemed to have in the late 90s. When it arrived in 1987, it exemplified hot hatch design of that era. The company took an already featherweight and compact hatch, tweaked the suspension, and made superb use of a superb, simple and eager engine. The naturally aspirated 1.4-litre four-cylinder engine in the Citroen may have only produced 83 horsepower and 85 foot-pounds of torque, but the AX weighed just 712 kilos, according to reports. That made the AX weigh less than a Lotus Elise.
Ooh.
Of all cars. Consequently, it's not as stylish though. It is capable of sprinting from 0 to 60 in a suitably quick 9 seconds, which was not bad in those days.
Back in the day.
With its low weight, excellent suspension, good grip levels, and unassisted steering, served up a compelling and engaging drive and handling. It was also affordable, clocking in at around £6,900 in the UK market when new. Later, the AX were fitted with turbos and they became the AX GTIs, which were worth more, but many report the handling was compromised, so stick to the GT. The GTIs were the only model that had 4 stud wheels on there. So I checked this out earlier on, and you're absolutely right. The AX only had 3 nuts on the wheels. I did
behind the wheel. Yeah. I don't remember. Sorry, go on.
It's still brisk though. It had top speed well into 3 figures, 111 miles an hour, and because nobody really appreciates what it is, the AX GTA is still cheap as a classic warm hatch. Just £2,000 will get you something usable. The values are, though, increasing. It's not long since the best GTIs were still 3-figure classics, but the French car community is beginning to appreciate their charms. While it's a lot for an AX, it's virtually nothing when compared to the 205 XS, which it shares its drivetrain with. It arguably makes the AX GT a cleverer investment that might not be appreciated. It might not appreciate in the same heights, but it has a greater accessibility, which means it's a higher return percentage on those cars. I looked today for an AX GT, and I found one online. It was a 1990 H plate. This one's for sale in Portugal, but the one that I found in the UK was a 1990 H plate XGT in black with 58,000 miles on the clock in Derbyshire, and it was going for £3,250. So not bad.
31-year-old car, but so it was my second car. Fit pound of the first one, 1987 Citroen AX 10RE. They did rust a little bit on the bonnet. The good thing about them, all the bottom bit, all the fairing, and all round the door sills was all plastic.
Yeah.
And the boot was plastic. So, and the note, just even on my I think 955cc car, it accelerated quite quickly up to because it was so light.
Probably made a noise as well.
Yeah, it did make a noise. Also, I had tappet problems with it because it used to go and I whacked it uphill in like third. And you did this. So it would have a rust problem. The main issue, there's no way you're going to get over a ton. I don't even care. Not on that GT. I don't care. I used
Give
to
it a go.
I had a tape deck in it.
Yes.
I went over 75. Every single track would sound like Belinda Carlisle.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
The tape, and it would be doing.
Leave her alone. What's she done to you?
But I drove it all the way to Brussels, and I drove it all the way back, and it broke down on me once in 4 or 5 years. Module. I flattened the battery a couple of times. Oh, it did have a pink battery when I bought it, which I quickly got rid of.
Equal opportunities.
It was such a reliable little car. I couldn't kill it. And I saw, and my brother-in-law, which I've just remembered, had the GT. He had a 1991 in white. The reason this is worth money, and the Saxo isn't, because the Saxo's a piece of shit, and it would blow up after 50,000 miles. It was a solidly built car by who's it built by? Citroen. Who was it not built by? Peugeot Citroen Group.
Exactly.
It was built by Citroen. It was a solid car. It was that it was sort of you had the AX, the ZX.
The
It was
BX was there, the ZM.
the ZM. It was the last sort of era when they made
Mm.
decent, solid, little, very cheap cars, and we put an alarm on mine as well, which worked. The only time it worked was when you pressed the horn. So we had to quickly change where we'd wired the alarm in, and we used where the cigarette lighter was because I didn't have the posh version. That's where we put the little bulb
Ah.
for the alarm. It was a great little car.
Good
Yes.
times.
Yeah, good times. I just, if you want it, especially for younger drivers and people want to buy something and mess around with it, why not get one of those?
They're
For
good
three
fun.
thousand pounds. I mean,
Wheel in
that's
each corner.
pretty good condition.
Yeah.
I do remember having a lot of fun with it. Although you do need to spray silicon sealant around the door jambs in winter because they used to freeze up. So I used to have to get in via the boot and kick the doors open. I just point out one more thing. The last story, the cultural appropriation story, I think it's quite sad because I don't really. I lived in Thailand for 3 years, and they loved in Thailand that if you walked around in Thai clothes or anything traditionally Thai, they love it. They think you were like part of the gang. But I've just noticed on the picture that we had earlier. So yeah, and up in the corner, face painting, which I think is a little bit racist on their behalf. But yes, if you do want to get your, hang on, I've lost my piece of paper now. Where's my? Oh, hold you. No, I have lost. Oh no, here it is. No, lost it.
On the
Completely
last
lost it.
page. Last page.
Yeah, I know. Oh, there you go. If you want to get suggest your car, you can email Car-Boyz at car-boys@outlook.com. Facebook car-boys, boys always with a Z, at Car-Boyz with 4 Zs. Twitter car-boys at car_boys with a Z. Instagram at car-boys with the 3 Zs.
Woo!
We've reached that time.
Yes.
To lay back, get loose, and let go. Because of course it is. One more. Oh, maybe another one.
Yeah.
It's like a trip to the doctor, the last one.
It is, of course, turn of the week. Or pups of the pick of the pups.
Pick of the pups.
All right, not off. Time for a feature on the show where we examine the temporal crimes committed against cars from across the world. Putting a giant exhaust onto a 1994 VW Polo, or hiding rust with plastic padding, and even putting sawdust into the gearbox. Really?
Oh yeah, did you know that one?
No.
The gearbox has started to go, so you put sawdust into it, and it makes it work a little bit better for a little while, and then it really knackers.
Wood starts, yeah. We basically find a car for sale across the world, a terrible car that dared to mount the pile of feces to be crowned the glorious king of the hill. It is now time on Car-Boyz for the Pup of the Week or Turd Off. And I, for one, I'm glad that Richard got rid of all the dogs that were barking.
Yeah, that was annoying, wasn't it?
Yeah. This week, we had an email from Oscar in Bournemouth. Hello, Oscar in Bournemouth. He saw his car for sale down the road from him in Christchurch. Oh, nice. And it caught his eye because he can't remember when the last one of these was on the road. It's a 1995 Rover 200. There it is. I think it's the SCI model as well because it's got the SCI wheels. 1.8 diesel 5-door hatchback with 170,000 miles on the clock. It has a mere 4 owners. It is 26-yard, a manual gearbox here. This is a granddad's car that's been used on short journeys. Has a diesel engine, which is quite bulletproof for this car. So you thought it would be a good investment at a mere 300 of your English pounds.
Well, we've had a look, and in a word, no. It does have some very attractive plastic wood paneling.
Yes.
You can see that.
Fake veneer.
Fake veneer up there. It looks a little dirty on the inside. And that was very de rigueur, the plastic wood paneling in the mid-1990s Rover. Yes. This is still a Rover. It is a badly made car made by socialists in the Midlands who really couldn't be bothered to make a decent car. My dad had one of these, and it was awful. My dad had a Rover 400 from new, and its aircon went after 2 years. The aircon went and wasn't covered by a warranty. There's no build quality in these cars. The description of the car goes on to say, short MOT, offered for spares, as it's a dying breed. Not many left now. Engine and gearbox in good order, apart from overheating problems. possibly a water pump, using it for shorter trips. Sound doors and other panels, but lacquer deteriorated, mainly on the bonnet. On paper, this is a bit of a classic, but in reality, there's an awful lot wrong with this car. The engine bay looks clean,
Mm.
but the interior, which you can't really see from this photo, but believe me, that looks
Yes.
very, very, very grubby.
Some brown stains on there for some reason on
Replacing,
the floor.
yeah, exactly. Ugh. Replace it's a granddad car. Less said about that, the better. Replacing the water pump is a horrible job. Will cost you the value of the car because it's under there somewhere. Good
Mm.
luck getting it out. You're also going to, while you do the water pump, you're going to put a new cam belt on it because you might as well do that at the same time. You could buy this car and it could end up being an absolute basket case. So why not leave this one well alone? So thank you very much for Oscar. Oh, and we didn't show the front of the car as well. I think the front's the best bit of the car to show off. Well done to Oscar. Spotted this granddad's car from the 1990s. It is our pop of the week.
Oh
There you
dear.
go. Yes. That's just the best one. Yes, I wish my wife was this dirty too. I believe we're moving on, and it's
We
time
are.
now to. Are we lost highwaying it?
We are Lost Highway.
Yeah, if I can
Time to get
find
the
that.
panpipes out.
I am. I think. I only think I've queued the music up in the correct place. So let's see if I have.
No Cherokees here.
Tarantino movie. This one. It's going to get going.
Nice. That music must mean it's. Get the mariachi band out. This is our feature where listeners email us in and give us their favourite roads and the reasons why they love them. It could be a quite coastal road that leads down to the sea. Alternatively, it could be a straight two-lane blacktop that leads to infinity and invites you to gun the pedal to the metal. Whatever your poison is, let us know your perfect driving road here on Car-Boyz at the usual address. The first in the inbox this week, William Wallace. Writes in from Carlisle, not Belinda Carlisle, in the northwest of England. And he says, with all the emphasis of staycations this year, I found another great driving road that winds its way through Scotland. It's the A701, there it is. Dumfries, it leaves Dumfries and travels north to meet the A74M east of Beatock. It is passed beneath the A74M before continuing to the northeast towards Moffat and ultimately Edinburgh. The road can be an alternative to the A7 or the A702 routes to Edinburgh for the A74 and M6. It is signposted as the scenic route to Edinburgh from the motorway. The A701 is popular with motorcyclists and passes close to the edge of Devil's Beef Tub. I've got to say, I did see he wrote Devil's Beef Tub, so I had to have a look at what Devil's Beef Tub was.
I'll give you a few suggestions, but go on.
But it's just this big sort of valley which is at the side of the mountain, and the only picture I could find on the interweb was this.
Let's have a look. Oh dear! That's what happens when you drive it. What is it?
I don't know. It could be a van. It could be Tiger Woods' vehicle. I don't know.
But was it St Andrews that weekend?
Yes.
I borrowed your vehicle. I'm sorry. I had one too many orange juices.
Too many OJs. William says the good news is that last year the road has been resurfaced, so the road is smooth and pothole free. So there you go. That's the A701.
It does look very pretty. I do like Devil's Beef Tub. It sounds like a nickname for a girl I used to date.
Big girl.
Big girl. She was lovely. She's Devil's Beef Tub. Look at that. That's a very old. That doesn't look like a proper car. That's some sort of micro car or some French.
I think it's upside down. So yes, I think
crashed.
it's like a transit or something.
Yeah. Tiger
But
Woods.
there
One of
Devil's Beef Tub.
Devil's Beef Tub. Actually, I tell a lie. It was my death metal band I had in the 1990s.
Devil's Beef.
Tub. Finally, Veronica in Manor House Dear Car-Boyz, me and my mum are originally from Barbados.
Oh.
And I don't think you've highlighted any roads on the island yet. We haven't. The pear-shaped island is in a small area. There it is, around a quarter of the size of London. The roads are in pretty good condition. All around, coastal roads can be narrow. It's good Bayesian drivers. They're pretty patient, she says. The island is a little more flat, and it reduces the need for intensely curvy roads. Take the main road, Highway 1, and travel between Speightstown to Archers Bay. And this is from one town to another, and it takes you through the main area of St. Peter, Arawak cement plant. Sounds delightful. Then along
Mm,
Port St. Charles, Port Ferdinand, which is on the other side of the road, then to Archers Bay. Stunning blue Pacific Oceans on the side of the road. I can see it. There's no doubt very peaceful area. And the cliff tops offer some excellent walking tracks with spectacular ocean views, which you can immerse yourself in being and awe at the beauty. Car hire is widely available with vehicles available all day or by the hour or by the week. That's the wrong way around. By the day, no, by the hour, by the minute, by the day, by the week, or by the second. There are many options to suit, from Jeeps with space for a surfboard to mini mokes,
but no Cherokees.
but no Cherokees, because that's racist. Although, if I was there aren't many people left, Native American people to the Caribbean. They called it the Arawak cement plant, which is also quite racist. If we were
Ah,
because Arawak are the native Carib people in, I think, parts of the Indies. Not sure which part. I think Puerto Rico and Dominican Republic.
ah,
I've heard very good things about driving in Barbados and Barbados in general, and it's got an excellent horse track as well. And
nice.
even better, that's why it's one of the most expensive places to live in the Caribbean, because it doesn't get hit by hurricanes.
Oh, excellent.
There's
Even
literally
better.
it's like every 40 years, whereas everybody else is every other year.
Yeah,
So my mate Steve owns a house in Barbados.
fantastic.
All right for some. And he is Barbadian as well, so he got it at the right price, if you know what I mean. The local price.
So there you go. If you want to get us on your favourite drive road, just give us all the details. There's Car-Boyz. Should we move on? Should we do some letters now?
Yes, time to open the letters, the mail bag. And it's bulging. That's very Shakespearean, isn't it?
I doff my cap to you.
Prithee, I do, sir.
Stevie V in Colchester says, hello, Car-Boyz from
Right.
Essex.
Right.
Essex. Hope you're good. Yeah, we are good. I think I need new tyres on my 2006 BMW 3 Series. They're 16-inch, not run flats, non-run flats. I'd like some advice of where to go, how much to pay, and whether I need a top brand. He already has a slow puncher on the near side front tyre. Yes, definitely don't go for run flats. My car originally came with run flats, and it just makes the ride and handling a bit because they're rubbish.
Also, the whole point of run flats is, and people think the run flat technology is new. Run flat technology is 70 years old.
It was like in tanks, wasn't it?
Yeah, my father worked for Dunlop in the 1960s, and they brought it back in the 60s. Yeah, because people would like fire bullets into armored vehicles and go,
Yeah.
you can't do anything because it's a solid rubber wheel, which is fine when you're driving a Ferret Daimler Scout car that's 35 miles an hour over some people in the third world, but not so good when you're trying to do 120 miles an hour on the autobahn. The problem with them is when they fuck up, you don't know they fucked up. I had my BMW. I had run flats, and it was in 2013, the M Sport, and I didn't know that the tire was flat. The gauge never went off until I got home, and there was just a big, like snail trail of rubber down the road. I went, I think this tire is completely buggered. Yes.
Steer clear of that. But what do we recommend? What do you recommend?
Well, the guy that I shouldn't say old, he's a relatively young man. My tire guy says all tires, every single tire, will do up to 120 miles an hour. He said to me, unless you're going to do track days, buy the cheapest tire you can. A non-brand tire is fine. I've actually I had the last two I bought are part worn from Europe. They're even cheaper, but they didn't last as long. I'd never spend loads on tires, and certainly not on this car. What is it? 2006 BMW 3 Series, what three grand car, $4,000 car, maybe on a good day. I think you'll pay. We had a quick look on that size because it's I think 16 inch. He said
Yeah,
these are about 70 quid a corner. That's just a picture.
that's not too bad.
Go to a good independent tire place. Many of these, especially the chains, will try and upsell your tires. Oh, you've got to have a Continental. Continental, by the way, are terrible. I've had two of them on my Honda, and they hardly lasted any time at all. You
Mm.
want a good independent tire fitter. He can also check on the condition of your other tires because the likelihood is if he's got a slowy on one, he's going to have a slowy
Yeah.
on another. They can give you some sound advice. Get a recommendation from a friend, go online, check a trade, something like that. But around about 70 quid a tire, and I wouldn't spend a large amount of money. As I say,
Mm.
if you are not doing track days, you are not doing 120 miles an hour or above. Why do you care? Just get a good tire.
See, I go the opposite. I'd go for a decent mid-range tyre, simply because the tyres will make all the difference of whether you make it through the corner or not, and the tread patterns. So I would. My tyres are
I don't
quite
know.
expensive for mine, but then mine are 17
Yeah,
inch.
mine 18 inch, and I
Yeah.
just don't. I have in the past cared about rubber, but now I go, I don't care.
Mm.
Works. Actually, they might be 19 inch. No, I think they're 18-inch wheels. But I have
Ooh.
taken. I had two run flats. They're gone. Bye
Yeah.
bye. I've just got ordinary tires. So instead of spending
Yeah.
150 quid on a tire, I spend 70. When it goes flat, I go. As it went flat the other day, I went. Oh, I've got a flat tire. Off went to see the guy. 80 quid later, new tire on the car.
See, this is why I have to play Russian roulette because I don't have a spare wheel.
See. I told you before, you want to get a proper
Yeah.
full-size wheel and bolt it to the top of that Mini. It will look exciting. Like, what's Simon going to do? He's out with a tyre on the front, the roll cage,
Driving through London.
bull bars on it. The gayest Mini in London. Lots of crime. Alison has called us in Asturias,
Ooh.
Oviedo, Asturias, northern Spain, where they make really great cider. And
Oh, nice.
there's some nice cheese from there called Cabrales, if you are ever in northern Spain.
Mm.
She says, Hola, otoninos, which is apparently
Hey.
Car-Boyz in Espanol. Hola, ¿cómo estás? Love the show. I'm thinking of selling my 2008 Honda CR-V, which looks a little bit like this. I've had it since new, but I think I can get a really good deal on a brand new Dacia Duster because you were talking about Dacia Dusters last week. What do you
Yes.
think? My car has 75,000 on the clock and is in good condition. In a word, no. You bought the
Mm.
car new. You've lost thousands on depreciation in the 12 years, 13 years you've owned it. The car's still going strong. Don't sell it because that's going to cost you more money. Remember, a new car loses 3 grand the moment, 3,000 euros the moment you take it off the forecourt
Yeah.
at the garage. Then it's another 1,000 a year in depreciation, at least.
Mm.
Car's going to age. So when your car's getting to the age when it won't depreciate, it just keeps going. Then keep it because as long as
Yeah.
it's not falling apart, you're not going to lose any money. This my wife has a Honda Civic, and every year we go should buy another car. So it's an 18-year-old Honda Civic, and we keep going. I really should buy another car. And I take it to the garage, and they go, "Yeah, nothing wrong with it." And I go, "Okay, it's worth £700." What's the
Yeah.
point? It keeps working. And
Mm.
it's not depreciating. Next year, it will still be worth £700. Now, that Honda you're talking about, it's got a VTEC engine.
Yeah.
Well maintained. Keep taking it to the garage because it's not. It won't. It will still cost you to keep a car on the road. You're going to get 250,000 miles easily. Buy the Duster, and in 4 years, you will lose 4 to 5,000 euros. Whereas if you
Mm.
keep this, you won't lose anything at all. It will just be maintaining this car. Well, you will. You're going to lose probably another 800
Yeah.
quid, maybe 400 quid or whatever on the value of the car. But
But
it's a Honda, and it's built well.
but basically, you've taken the hit in depreciation because you've owned it all that time,
Don't let
and
somebody else
ultimately,
but come along and give you what's that car going to be worth now? 2008, maybe
yeah,
4.5 grand. You've got a car with what 75k on the clock.
yeah,
It's a minter. It's a
and
new car.
you know the history of that car in and
Yeah,
out because you've done all the
yeah.
mileage in it. So
So
yeah, stick with it.
I don't know whether I've told you this story. Last summer, somebody went into the back of my wife's car and cracked the bumper.
Yes.
Literally put a little crack in and snapped part of the bumper off. So it was a little bit hey, when you moved
Mm.
it. So they admitted it was their fault. My insurer said, or her insurer said, right, we're going to write the car off. And we went,
Mm.
but hang on, it's got a crack in the bumper. And they said, no, it's a complete write off because it's damaged the frame. We went, no, it hasn't damaged the frame. It's got a little crack. I could see from the photos, it's damaged the frame. I said, it hasn't damaged the frame. He said, how much do you think the car's worth? And I went, well, I know it's 700 quid, but I just had a new cam belt on it, just had a service on it, and I got 2 new tyres on it. So I want 1,800 quid off you. And they said, well, it's never worth that. I went, I don't care. You're asking me the
To
question.
you, that's what it's worth.
To is what that's worth. And it's almost like, well, it's priceless. Give me 3 grand for the car. That's what I want for the car.
Yeah.
If you want to take it off my driveway, because that's the hassle I'm going to have to go through to get another car. In the end, the other party's insurer came back to me and said, how much money to go away? My mechanic went 800 quid. And I went 800 quid, and they went, fine, we'll give you, or whatever. I can't, maybe, I don't even
Yeah.
think it was that. I think it was maybe 400 quid. But it was a small amount of money. They directly paid me. I paid my insurer. My mechanic came along and we put a new bumper on, and everybody was happy.
Yeah.
But my mechanic looked at the frame and went, there's nothing wrong with this frame. There is a big scam in the UK of people writing off cars, turning them into CCAT and DCAT. They've got cosmetic damage that, if I'd have really not wanted to go down the road of chasing anything with the car, I could have probably bodged a repair myself.
Yeah, absolutely. But there you go. Okay, let's move on. We're now in Cornwall. Well, we wish we were in Cornwall with Charlie Crocker. Does it make cakes? That's Betty Crocker.
I think this guy must be a fan of the Italian Job. Charlie Croker.
Yes,
Charlie
of course,
Croker.
of course. He's just bought himself a little project car. He's going to gently renovate it and get on the road to summer. It's a 1978 MG Midget with a hardtop. It cost him a shade over £3,500. It's got a part service history and a genuine and the engine bay is clean with very little rust. Should he asks, go for the nuts and bolts off renovation or just tidy up and enjoy? It runs well and looks quite nice. Oh, those wheels, they're on loads of cars, although paintwork is a little faded in places. Beautiful car. Nice buy as well. £3.5
grand. So this is the 1.5 MG Midget. You can see it has the horrible, actually maybe you can't see, but it does have the British Leyland logo on there. Right at the end of the production, 79. Lovely little Sunday afternoon drive car. Never going to be worth much, this car. It's never going to break the bank because we're going to do 0 to 60 in 15 seconds. It looks, I think this has been restored at some point, probably 20, 30, 25 years ago, because the paint looks too good. Honestly, if it was me, I'd have a tinker with the engine because, again, you can tinker with these engines because they have carburetors on them. I wouldn't do anything else. The way that to me it seems the classic car market is going is survivor cars. So people don't want a resto mod. They want something that's original. They want in an MG those sort of the faded seats and the padding's gone down a bit, and they want a little bit of dust and a little few marks because it's lived a life.
Yeah,
you could spend £4 on restoring this, and this will only ever be worth £4. But you could just have fun with it, and
I'd say
guys buy these cars to escape their wives. My father has the golf wheels. Although he's not married anymore, and he disappears off there. That's maybe why. And a lot of guys go, "Oh, I'm going to go and sort something out," and then they just sit and read Practical Car magazine and drink tea in the garage and eat biscuits. Bloody wheels on that are fantastic, and they've got drain holes. This does the engine bay. You can't appreciate it from this picture, but it is clean.
Nice.
I wouldn't do much. I'd clean it and love it and have fun with it.
Yeah.
You lucky guy, Charlie. Finally, we have Tommy in Mid Glamorgan, Wales. He's been working away from home last year, commuting back at weekends as a key worker. Now he's working away, in London, and he's renting a room in Airbnb and sometimes stays with a work colleague. Now he's thinking of buying a camper van because a friend of his in Wembley has a huge parking space to the rear of his house, and he said you can park on that. Should he buy a small van conversion to live in and save cash? He can use the showers at work to wash in, and he only needs a small van. He's got 5K. Well, we're coming out of winter, so this possibly is the right time to do it. I would say, firstly, make sure, he says it's a parking space, but I would make sure that you can't be overseen. If it's on the front of the house, I think you're in problems. But I think he said it's around the back. So if you can't be seen by neighbours, because you don't want your friend to get ratted out to the council. What we're talking about is stealth camping here. You are probably going to go away with it. I had a quick look. Wembley isn't on the new ULEZ zone, so you can buy an older but reliable camper. I had a quick look online. Toyota Alphard or a Hiace, maybe a VW T5 conversion. Because what does he need? He needs a bed, blacked out windows,
Yeah.
microwave to
Something
cook.
to heat something up.
Cold beans, he's a man. We found a 1998 Toyota Hiace conversion. 150 on the clock, full service history, very good condition, 4,500. No single cooker, but that could be added.
Yep.
But the one I like is a Ford, strangely enough. This is a 2006 2.6 diesel Ford Transit divan that's been converted.
Like a bed.
It's been converted. It's got a bed. It's got a sink. It's got a microwave.
Hold on a minute.
£5,000. Go on.
Converted.
Yes.
It's got a black window. It's white. Was it a police van beforehand?
Does it smell? Yeah. Yeah. It does look a bit policey, doesn't it? It's got a little rust on one of the wings, but it's only got 125 on the clock. I think this is a bit better of a stealth camper because there's not really any windows with this boy.
Just looks like a normal van, doesn't it?
You saw that part, you go, oh, it's a normal van. But you've got to remember, we had a Polish guy that used to do it round by us, and he was a cunning bar steward because he had a camper van that he'd move around the neighbourhood. And you would see the light on at night. I said, there he is. He's obviously come over from Poland. He's gone to plastering jobs or electric jobs or whatever his work was. And he would live in the area and then drive off again to Poland. I think his was a Talbot Sunbeam or something, one of those Talbot camper vans. Yeah, I think that's too small. I would go for something like this. The only problem is, I guarantee when winter comes, you are going to want to get a hotel room. Because these things, it's not going to be pretty waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning freezing you.
Not in this land, no. But yeah, looks like
it's a big thing in America, stealth camping, but it's very difficult to do in the UK.
Put some stripes on it. It looked like a police van. That's fine.
That's true, actually, isn't it? Yeah, get yourself a tabard, a luminescent tabard, a short haircut, and learn the phrase, "Who do you think you are, sir? Mario Andretti." It's time for the quiz.
Ooh, extended version.
It's the mix, isn't it? Thank you very much. Time now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Time now on the show for our weekly quiz. This week we've got fingers on the buzzers and our stopwatches as we ask a lucky contestant to match the celebrity with the license plate in What's My Plate? If you're American, we say you'd say number plate, you say license plate, but seeing as you were late for World War II and World War I, we won't hold it against you. Personalised number plates speak volumes about their owners, but as Chris Eubank got into trouble after it was revealed the 1KO plate on his £160,000 Bentley appeared to not be registered on the DVLA, and that's because he really wanted the plate WGP. What? I don't get that. Who wrote this? Oh yes, sorry. It stands for Really Great Pugilist.
Stupid man. Stupid.
Really Great Pugilist. That's again, our American audience is going, what are you talking about? What is this license plate thing? But that aside, my name is Les Manning. I'm your faded Northern Club comic, part-time singer, and full-time alcoholic. I'll be your host on the show. Joining me is a young lad who's come all the way from Sunbaked Isle of Edmonton to take part in the show. And the grand prize up for grabs this week is a copy of Lewis Hamilton's very own number plate he uses in Monaco. I think I may have a copy of it here. It seems to have evaded me at the moment. Yes,
a bit like his taxes.
A bit, yes. It's Lewis Hamilton's very own plate, and I think I haven't got a copy of it. It reads something. It reads something like that. I think, I think it is. Are you ready to play, Simon?
Yes, I am.
And then I'll begin. Now, firstly, I'll show you the plate, and you've got to work out who it belongs to. Okay. Here's your first one. This person may have the plate. The plate may be a comic one, but he hasn't been funny since the Royal Variety performances of the 1960s. He's a gapped-out Scouser who was best pals with Bruce Forsyth. Who is it?
I do know this one. It's boom. It's Tarby.
Hey!
Jimmy Tarbuck.
Hey, all right there. All right there. Yes, of course, it's Jimmy Tarbuck.
God, what's happened to him?
When was the last? Do you know the last time I saw Jimmy Tarbuck was in an advert for Farm Foods?
Wow.
There he
Wow.
is. Aha! But he did
Boom.
number plate comic,
Comic.
which is very cool. Moving on to number 2. Her family's vehicles are not required to display reg numbers, but she couldn't resist buying this rather royal registration. First issued by the Council of London in 1903. Who owns this plate?
A7.
Rather royal. She may need to be going to the church soon.
Oh, I guess it's the Queen then.
Yes, you are correct. You are correct. Why she might be needed to I don't know. There she is.
My husband and I, or more rightly, myself and I, these days.
Because Phil the Greek isn't well. Yes, of
not well.
course. It's
He watches the show all the time.
He does. He does. I bloody love Car-Boyz. Bloody love it. Yes. There's lots of things I could say about Phil the Greek. We won't go down that road. I like the white one and the brown one. So A7. Weird. I don't know why she owns that. I'm sure that's not her car either. Doesn't she drive a Majesty driver?
Madge.
Bless you and all the sailing.
Madge 1.
Madge 1. That you would think it would be. Considering this Essex girl was a millionaire by the age of 22 thanks to a stint on The Only Way is Essex, personalising her Range Rover's number plate was a no-brainer. Any idea who this is?
Oh, only because you said The Only Way is Essex. But I know her name is Amy. Yeah. But I think her name is Amy Childs.
No, actually, you're wrong. Her name is Amy 22Y. No, it's of course Amy Childs there. Also,
gosh, she doesn't even look like how she was before.
No,
either.
Also known as Amy 22Y. That's a no. I had no idea when I wrote this. I was like, "Who the hell's this? Is it Jordan? Is it a younger version of Jordan?"
That's what I thought it was at first, but yeah.
So far we've got 3 out of 3. 3 out of 3. So well, your bendy bully is safe, and your number plate, your prized registration number plate of Lewis Hamilton is still raring to go. This man is a former football player. He liked a fast car, but he sold his Ferrari when he moved to Madrid. Who could this be?
Moved to yeah.
He's got more tattoos than the Royal Navy.
I think it's David Beckham, because isn't it something like David and Victoria Beckham? That's what DVB stands for.
That's correct. More tattoos than the Royal Navy. Got his wife's initials on the registration there as well. And
in case they both forgot.
Victoria, do these glasses make me look more clever? Like, do they make me look more clever? No, well, no,
they don't, David. Money can't buy your class or brains.
Yes.
The page 3 legend and Ferrari fan was a household name in the 70s and 80s.
Ooh.
And she loved a nice sports car. I'll see if I can find a picture of her car.
Is it from page 3? Oh.
No. Wait for the next photo. It is censored, but wait for the next photo. So she's a page 3 model, and if you're listening in America, that was a newspaper in the up to a few years ago that had ladies with their norks out, their pistols on show for, and that was her car. So obviously we can probably guess her first name.
Linda. Is it Linda Lusardi?
It was, of course,
Not Linda Lovelace.
NDA. No, it was. It was, of course, Linda Lusardi. You are correct. And here's.
Hey.
I'll give you a little moment with this. Actually, do you know what? Would you like this as your prize instead of the Lewis Hamilton?
Yes, I'm not prefer that.
Look, she's celebrating Christmas in her own special way.
Yes.
I'm feeling festive already. I've come over all festive, as Simon would say. Meanwhile, a Russian billionaire has this £285,000 number plate. Well, to him, it's not worth much. It's a week's wages for the players at the football club he owns. So who owns this? Russian oligarch billionaire, London Football Club.
I'm guessing, I've got 2 answers for this. I'm guessing it's Roman Abramovich, but wasn't VIP... Did you ever used to watch Just Good Friends with Paul Nicholas?
Oh, yes.
I'm sure that was his number plate in the car.
Oh, was it? Well, it probably was fake, wasn't it?
Yes.
I know what you mean. You are correct. You are correct. Yay! Get it right. It was. It was a Russian.
It was Paul Nicholas.
Billionaire.
No, it wasn't.
It was Russian billionaire Paul Nicholas. Hello, Ben. How are you? I'm on football club, Ben. Hello, Ben. How are you? I'm on football club. You want to come out or what? I'm very rich man. Yes, so of course, owner of Chelsea Football Club and a
Yes.
fan of Just Good Friends with Paul Nicholas, Russian oligarch Roman Abramovich. I love the fact that you thought
Very nice.
Just Good Friends, Just Good Friends. Hello, Ben. How you do?
He used to sing the theme tune of every program he was on, like Dennis Waterman.
Because Paul Nicholas was he doesn't look well. I saw him on a program recently.
Yeah, okay.
He looked very. He was very. He was. I think he missed out on being in the Beatles at some point. And then he was in Joseph, and he was a stage actor. I think he may be in the movie Jesus Christ Superstar.
Possibly. That does ring a bell. Yeah. There you go. Bit of Paul Nicholas for you this week.
Paul Nicholas knowledge there. Great. Everybody's going, who the fuck? This is really, really reaching out to the under 21 demographic is all I can say. This guy signed a deal with Leicester, but association football, but he also celebrated by putting his personal plate on a £160,000 Bentley. Who is this? I'll give you a clue.
Everyone likes to party.
Oh,
Jamie
right.
Vardy.
Ah, you're correct. Yes.
Hey.
His wife is Wag Rebecca with the K. Here's a picture of him, and I don't really understand the tattoo. Chat shit and get banged.
Yeah, that's his favourite expression. You chat shit, you get banged.
Really? Like, what is it? Is that how he chats up his wife? Chat shit, girl, you get banged.
Yeah, well, apparently she did, didn't she?
Yeah, she did.
Shit.
Yeah, and sponsored by King Power, of course, that famous Thai duty free. Yeah, great. Don't care. Football player. Despite a sweet name, this business mogul has an acid tongue. But if you became his next apprentice, you too could afford a Rolls Royce like this and possibly an Amstrad computer.
Yes, I know who that is because I've seen him driving down my local
really?
area. Yes, because obviously I live near the stadium.
Yeah.
It is obviously Alan Michael Sugar himself. Alan Sugar.
Of course, yes, British apprentice host and founder
Not
of
the American one.
Not the American one, the best one, and host of the show. Well, it's actually Lord Sugar.
It
or
is.
as I call him, Alan. Yeah, there's a picture of him recently appearing on the show. Alan Sugar. Have you ever? I used to watch The Apprentice with Alan Sugar.
Yeah.
Go, is it only me? But nobody else goes. Who? When was the last time anybody bought an Amstrad television? My grandmother had one in the 1980s. I think she had it from Radio Rentals.
Yes.
So I tried to work out how he made his money. So he basically sold Amstrad and he bought a load of property and then he sat on it for 30 years and the property went up. Who's a clever bear? Love Alan Sugar. Not really.
He bought Tottenham Hotspur.
He did buy Tottenham. Well, you know, we all do silly things. As I like to call him, Alan. He doesn't own it anymore, does he?
No, he doesn't. No.
Too expensive. No lightweight then when it comes to car. This guy is can't resist reminding the sport that made him famous after he won an Olympic silver medal in 2004.
Boxing.
Come on. 10 out of 10 this week.
Did you say Khan?
He can't
Khan?
resist. Yes, there he is. Amir Khan.
Not Sadiq Khan.
Oh, not Sadiq Khan. That's his brother. Is this Pete Murphy behind him? Who the hell's this? Here?
Wow.
Nothing like him. That's a terrible picture. Yep, Sadiq Khan.
Awful.
Who owns Boxing One. Oh no, it's just boxing.
Boxing.
Very good. I bet he gets a little bit of gaffer tape. He gets his driver to put it across. So the three eyes look like an N. Finally, listen. Bendy Bully's safe. What was I going to give you as a present? Oh, you've got this.
Linda Lusardi.
We were going to give you the CNU NT1 by Lewis Hamilton. But
no, I don't want that.
You want this picture.
Yes, please.
And to be left alone for 3 minutes. All right, minute and a half. Finally, this deceased magician was at the height of his fame back in the 1980s, and he had a wife that you'd like, but not a lot.
Oh, yes.
Who was it?
I'm going to go with Paul Daniels.
Oh, you'd like it, but not a lot. There he is.
On a
Where is he?
Ferrari.
There he is, a Ferrari. And apparently Debbie McGee has been trying to sell this, but to no avail.
Really?
Yeah. It's been, I think she wants quite a bit of money for it. I think we're talking
Okay.
£120,000. But you
Ooh.
know the story about this, don't you? About this
No.
number plate. The story is really interesting. He didn't think about buying it in the 80s, and he
Yeah.
was approached by a businessman who said, would you like to own the number plate Magic, or MAG1C?
1C.
And he said, why would I want to buy that? He said, because I keep getting stopped by people asking me where Paul Daniels is. So it was like fortuitous that he had. He said,
okay.
you've got to buy this. I am getting so bored of this plate. And he went, I'll buy it. Not for a lot, but
Not
I'll
for
buy it. Yay. So well done, mate. Yes, well
Yay,
done.
10 out of
lucky,
10.
You're a lucky winner. It's 10 out of 10.
And Linda Lusardi.
10 out of 10. You're walking off with a very special prize. A
Very
framed...
special.
Actually, would you like it signed?
Can I have it laminated?
I'll get you. There's a sign. Yeah, there's the signed version. Linda just signed it. Thanks, Linda.
Thank you.
Sounds like Paul Daniels.
She does. Say yes, Paul. Yes, Simon. Anytime you'd like. I'm nearly 60, you know.
Actually, I think she might be 60 now. She's got to be.
Fantastic.
There you go. Picture that's winging its way to you. And that's about it from the show. If you want to get involved and want to send us anything, comments are welcome. The rude ones as well. We'll endeavour. We'll endeavour not to listen to them at all. But yes, if you would like us to send us all your comments, we'll endeavour to get them onto the airwaves. Thank you very much for tuning into the show today. There's all these names and addresses.
Woo. All on screen.
We'll be back next week, same time, same place. Doing anything exciting for the week, Simon?
Staying in.
Staying in? Well, you have to by law now, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
till
me
April
too.
12th.
Me too. I'm going to go and... hang on. I'm going to finish my newsreader. Then turn around to you as the music goes up and pretend to talk.
And the lights fade.
See you next time. Bye-bye.